The final line. The council chamber was no longer filled with arrogance. Fear hung heavy in the air. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices trembling. Reports streamed across glowing holoscreens, fleets destroyed, supply lines severed, colonies lost. The mighty council, rulers of the galaxy for millennia, was bleeding. The High Speaker tried to strike his staff against the floor, but the sound no longer silenced the room. "This chaos must end," he shouted. "We are the council. Humanity cannot—" But his words broke off as alarms screamed through the chamber. A guard rushed in, his eyes wide with terror. "High Speaker, you must see this." The chamber walls lit up with a live transmission. A massive human warship hovered above the council's capital world, so large it blotted out the sun. Its black steel hull was scarred from countless battles, its cannons glowing like molten fire. The warship cast a shadow that stretched across the council's palaces and towers, reminding every alien below that they were no longer untouchable. Gasps and screams filled the chamber. And then, a single human figure appeared on the screen, Marcus Hale. He stood in silence for a long moment, his eyes sweeping across the chamber as though he could see every delegate, every trembling leader who had once laughed at him. His voice was calm, but each word cut like a blade. "You thought we were weak," he said. "You thought silence meant fear. You believed chains could hold us. You were wrong." The chamber was silent, no one daring to move. Hale continued, his tone low but unshakable. "Humanity does not bow. We do not forget. We warned you. If you crossed the boundary, you would regret it. You chose arrogance. You chose to push us. And now you face what you feared most." He stepped closer to the camera, his eyes like fire. "You feared humanity because you could not understand us. You called us reckless, dangerous. Perhaps we are, but it is not our weapons that make us dangerous. It is not our fleets, not our armies. It is our will. When you strike us, we rise. When you cage us, we break free. When you think we are finished, we begin again. That is humanity." Some aliens lowered their heads, others sat frozen, unable to breathe. Hale's voice grew softer, yet somehow heavier. "You crossed the boundary, and now you will live with the memory of what happens when humanity snaps. Remember this day. Remember it for the rest of your lives. We will not erase you. We will not conquer you. But you will never forget us, because today the galaxy learned one truth." He paused, the silence stretching until it felt like thunder waiting to break. Humanity is not to be underestimated, ever. With that, the transmission cut. Above the capital world, the human warship powered down its weapons and turned slowly away. It did not fire, it did not destroy, it simply left, leaving the shadow of its presence as the real wound. In the council chamber, no one spoke. The High Speaker sat frozen, his staff trembling in his hand. Around him, the greatest powers of the galaxy finally understood. They had not faced human weakness. They had awakened human resolve, and in that moment, the galaxy shifted. For the first time in history, the Council bowed its head, not to force, not to conquest, but to the unbreakable will of a species that refused to kneel. From that day forward, every alien child would hear the same whispered warning. Do not cross the humans. Do not push them beyond their line. For when humanity snaps, the stars themselves tremble. And though the war was over, the memory of it would live forever. The Council had crossed the boundary, humanity had answered, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The warning ignored, the Galactic Council grew impatient. Reports of missing patrols, vanishing freighters, and silent colonies reached their chambers every week. But instead of fear, arrogance grew. They hide in shadows because they are weak, one delegate sneered. If they had power, they would show it. The High Speaker raised his staff, voice full of pride. Then we will force them to show it. Humanity must be reminded who rules this galaxy. A decree was sent to Earth. The message was brutal and final. All human fleets must disarm. All colonies must surrender military assets. Any refusal will be punished by war. The order echoed across every human world. On Mars, workers paused at DOE, their stations, jaws tight, eyes burning. On the lunar colonies, soldiers gathered in silence, hands on their rifles. On distant outposts, families sat together in quiet anger. But still, there was no open defiance. No fleets rose into the skies. No armies marched. For a moment, the Council believed their threats had worked, until a single transmission arrived. The message was not long. No speeches, no arguments, no negotiations. Just one line, burned into every Council system, every comm screen. Across the galaxy, "You wanted to see our limits, do not regret it." The words were simple, but the silence that followed was heavy, more dangerous than any battle. In the Council chamber, some laughed nervously. "They bluff," one alien said. "Empty words." But others shifted in unease. They remembered human history, wars where small fleets turned into unstoppable armadas, battles where humans fought long after surrender should have come. Commander Valen stood, his voice low but sharp. "This is not a bluff. This is a warning. And if we ignore it, we will pay in blood." The High Speaker dismissed him with a wave. "You give them too much credit. They are reckless savages. If they fight, they will destroy themselves. And we will watch." But in the shadows, human fleets were already moving. From the dark caverns of the asteroid docks, massive ships emerged, hulls blackened to blend with the void. From hidden shipyards in the outer rim, cruisers and carriers powered, their silent engines. Convoys of weapons and fuel flowed to rendezvous points, unseen by alien patrols. On Earth, in the underground command center, Marcus Hale stood before a glowing map of the stars. Red markers spread like sparks across the screen, each one a hidden fleet or stronghold. "They think we are afraid," Hale said. "They think silence means weakness. But silence has been our shield. Now it will become our sword." Across the colonies, soldiers received their orders. Old veterans dusted off weapons, engineers fueled ships, pilots strapped into cockpits. Every man and woman knew what was coming. Still, to the rest of the galaxy, nothing seemed to move. Human, trade was slow, their colonies quiet. To alien eyes, it looked like nothing more than fear. But in truth, it was the calm before the storm, a storm so vast the galaxy would never forget it. The Council looked down from their thrones, blind to the danger, deaf to the warning. They thought they had caged a wild beast, but the cage was breaking, and soon humanity would step out, not as prey, not as servants, but as something far greater. The warning had been given. The Council ignored it. The stars were about to tremble. The galaxy slept in arrogance. Alien leaders mocked the warning message, believing it was nothing but human bravado. Traders laughed in cantinas, betting on how fast Earth's fleets would be crushed if they dared resist. The Council chambers echoed with confidence. "They will never dare. They cannot stand against us." And then, without announcement, without declaration, the silence broke. It began in the Vega sector. A Council fleet of 30 warships cruised peacefully, their patrol slow and routine. Suddenly, the stars around them rippled, shadows unfolded, and out of the void emerged massive human vessels, silent giants painted in black steel. Their hulls bristled with weapons no one had seen before. The alien commander barely had time to shout an order before the first strike came. Human cannons lit the darkness with blinding blue fire. Missiles streaked across the void like falling stars. In minutes, the mighty Council fleet was torn apart. Ships that had ruled the trade lanes for centuries were reduced to drifting wreckage. The survivors sent desperate distress calls, but by the time reinforcements arrived, there was nothing left but silence, and the burning wreckage of alien warships floating like broken bones in space. Word spread fast. Some called it an ambush, others called it a massacre. But one truth echoed across every comm channel. Humanity had snapped. In sector after sector, hidden human fleets emerged from shadows. They struck with terrifying precision. Alien patrols vanished. Outposts fell silent. Council supply lines burned in the dark. These were not chaotic attacks. They were clean, surgical, planned for years in the shadows. Human ships disabled enemy. Engines first, trapping alien fleets before tearing them apart. They never wasted fire, never missed a strike. To the galaxy, it looked less like a rebellion and more like a predator finally hunting openly. On the bridge of the battleship Iron, Resolve, Admiral Chen watched as another Council cruiser exploded into light. Her face was calm, her voice steady. No unnecessary kills. We disable first. We destroy only when forced. Let them learn fear, not extinction. Her officers nodded. Even in war, humanity was sending a message. They were not conquerors. They were not aggressors. They were defenders pushed too far. But the Council could not see the difference. In their grand chamber, panic finally cracked through arrogance. Reports streamed in. Entire fleets gone, sectors lost overnight. Delegates shouted at each other, demanding answers, demanding action. They were supposed to be contained, one alien shrieked. How did they build fleets this size without us knowing? Vaylon, the scarred commander who had warned them, slammed his fist on the table. His voice was thunder. You laughed at their silence. Now their silence has become our nightmare. Still, the High Speaker refused to show fear. We are the Council. We have ruled for millennia. Humanity cannot defeat us all. But even as he spoke, alarms echoed through the chamber. A holographic feed displayed a sight that silenced every delegate. A massive human warship hovering above one of the Council's core defense worlds. Its shadow stretched across the planet like a dark hand. The feed cut out in static. Across the galaxy, alien civilians whispered in fear. For generations they had thought of humans as reckless newcomers too young and wild to be trusted. Now they spoke in hushed voices. The humans have awakened. The humans are coming. Back on Earth, in the underground command room, Marcus, Hale stood before a sea of glowing red markers. Each one a battle already won. His voice was steady, almost quiet. They thought they could cage us. They thought we would bow. Now they will remember why legends always feared humanity. No, one cheered, no one clapped. The humans in that room only nodded, their silence carrying more weight than any speech. Because the galaxy had finally heard humanity's voice. And it was not words. It was the roar of warships, the thunder of cannons, the snap of patience breaking. After too many chains, the Council had crossed the boundary. Now the storm had arrived. The first confrontation. The first crack in silence came on the edge of Council space. A human freighter named Aurora Dawn was moving through a routine trade lane, its cargo holds filled with food and medicine for a frontier colony. Its crew were relaxed, drinking coffee, chatting about families back home. To them, it was just another quiet run. But silence ended when 3 alien patrol ships appeared from hyperspace. Their hulls glimmered with the Council's crest, their weapons armed. "This is Patrol Unit 79, came a cold alien voice through the comms. "Human vessel, you are violating new restrictions. Halt immediately. Submit to inspection." Captain Elena Torres, once a freighter pilot, now secretly aiding the hidden human resistance, kept her hands steady on the controls. "This is a civilian ship carrying medical supplies. There is no violation here." The alien voice was sharp. "All human shipments must now be inspected and approved. Refusal means confiscation." The bridge crew of the Aurora Dawn exchanged worried glances. Everyone knew what confiscation meant. Supplies meant for human colonies would vanish, lost in Council storage, never to be seen again. Entire settlements would starve, while the Council called it regulation. Torres spoke carefully. "I repeat, this cargo is humanitarian. There is no threat here." The aliens ignored her. Grappling beams locked onto the freighter. "By authority of the Galactic Council, your cargo is seized." The humans on board sat in tense silence as the aliens stripped the ship. Crates of food, barrels of medicine, all carried away to the patrol vessels. The youngest crew member whispered, "Captain, we can't just let them do this." Torres's eyes were cold. She wanted to fight, but the freighter was unarmed. She only said, "Remember this day. It won't be forgotten." Hours later, the Aurora Dawn was released, drifting half-empty toward its colony. Its crew stared out at the void, rage burning in their eyes. That night, something strange happened. The alien patrol commander reported to his superiors as usual. The supplies were secured, the human ship subdued. But before dawn cycle, one of his ships failed to respond. The next hour, another fell silent. When recovery crews finally found them, the sight sent shivers across the galaxy. 2 Council patrol vessels floated dead in space, their hulls torn open from within. No explosions, no battle damage, just clean, precise destruction, as if something had ripped them apart from inside the bulkheads. The 3rd ship was never found. The Council dismissed the event as an accident. They claimed the patrol vessels suffered reactor failures. Official reports were rewritten, the incident buried under bureaucracy. But whispers traveled faster than reports. Traders claimed shadowy ships had been seen near the wreckage, ships with human markings erased moving silently through the dark. On Earth, Admiral Chen stood in the underground command room, reviewing the secret message from Torres. She had sent only one line. "They took our food. We took their ships." The Council believed the humans had bowed. But in truth, the first counterstrike had already been made. In the hidden fleet yards, steel rang as workers moved faster. Engines roared. During midnight tests, scientists unlocked weapons never before used. Soldiers trained in silence, waiting for orders that would one day come. The aliens still believed humans were passive, but on every human colony, anger had turned into quiet unity. Farmers who lost food shipments, miners who lost equipment, doctors who lost medicine, they all whispered the same words: "This will not stand." Meanwhile, on the frontier, alien traders began to notice an eerie pattern. Human ships once common in trade lanes were vanishing from sight. Convoys rerouted, freighters disappeared into asteroid belts, fleets no longer answered beacons. When asked where they had gone, the answer was always the same: silence. But silence had meaning now. It meant humans were no longer playing by the Council's rules. They had slipped into the shadows, preparing for something far larger than anyone could imagine. The first confrontation had been small, just a freighter and a few patrol ships. Yet in that small clash, a message had been sent, one louder than any Council decree: humanity will not bow. And though the galaxy did not yet see it, the ground beneath them had begun to shake. Shadows of humanity. The Council tried to bury the reports of the patrol ships. They called it equipment failure, navigation error, and human mistake. But no matter how many reports they rewrote, rumors spread like wildfire. Traders spoke in hushed tones about human ships slipping into dark sectors and never coming back. Alien intelligence networks started to notice the strange pattern. Human freighters no longer traveled predictable routes. Colonies stopped broadcasting routine updates. Even Earth itself seemed quieter. It was as if humanity was fading from the galaxy's open stage, retreating behind a curtain of shadows. At first, the Council dismissed it as paranoia. "They are afraid," one delegate sneered. "They know their place now. Their silence is obedience." But intelligence officers, those who watched carefully, saw something else. Hidden shipyards lit up at odd hours. Mining output uncertain. Human colonies rose far beyond what was reported. Entire shipments of ore and steel disappeared without explanation. An alien commander named Velan, scarred from past wars, read the reports with unease. He had fought humans before on the frontier. He remembered how they adapted too quickly, how they turned defeat into strength. He leaned back in his chair, whispering to his aide, "This is not silence. This is preparation." Still, the Council ignored his warnings. Arrogance blinded them. To the High Speaker, humans were an insect swarm that could be brushed aside with a single strike. Meanwhile, in the dark, humanity sharpened its claws. In the asteroid belt near Jupiter, massive structures began to take shape. hidden beneath layers of rock. Engineers carved out secret docks where entire fleets could be built in silence. Engines were tested in caverns so deep the sound never reached open space. On Mars, scientists worked in sealed laboratories, unlocking designs that had been forbidden for decades, shields that bent light, weapons that could pierce the strongest hulls, reactors that could burn for centuries. Every invention was stored away, hidden until the day it would be unleashed. In the icy caves of Europa, soldiers trained without sleep. Their voices echoed through tunnels as they drilled in silence, practicing tactics no alien army had ever seen. Across the colonies, ordinary people carried on as if life were normal. Farmers still worked their fields. Merchants still sold goods. Children still played. But beneath the surface, every family knew the truth. The storm was coming. Alien spies reported unusual gatherings in human settlements. Too many people in one place, one spy wrote. Too much movement of supplies. Too many signals hidden behind encryption. But by the time their reports reached the council, it was too late. The data was buried under arrogance and disbelief. 1. Knight Commander Valen received a secret transmission from a patrol scout. The scout's voice shook as he described what he had seen. I followed a human convoy into the shadows of the Kepler Rift. They were carrying ore, fuel, machinery. I thought they were smugglers, but then I saw it. What did you see? Valen demanded. A fleet, the scout whispered. Not one ship, not 10. Hundreds. All silent, all waiting. Their hulls dark, their weapons hidden. They are building something, Commander, something vast. The transmission ended abruptly. The scout never returned. Valen tried to bring his warning to the council. He stood in the chamber, his voice low and urgent. We are blind. Humanity is moving, in the shadows, building power where we cannot see. If we do not act now, we will face a storm unlike any in history. But the high speaker only laughed. Storm? The humans are ants. If they gather too many, we crush them. Their silence is fear, nothing more. The chamber echoed with alien laughter, but outside the council walls, in the silence of deep space, a different sound was growing. The hum of engines, the welding of steel, the whispers of soldiers preparing for war. The shadows were filling with humanity. And soon, those shadows would open, revealing something the galaxy was not ready to face. The Council's decision. The Galactic Council chamber was built to inspire fear. It was a massive dome of silver metal, floating above the capital planet of the Alliance. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in curved rows, their eyes glowing, their voices low and cold. They had gathered many times to discuss trade, war, and borders. But today's meeting was different. At the center of the chamber, the High Speaker of the Council raised his staff. His voice echoed across the hall. We are here to decide the matter of humanity. The word humanity traveled like a spark through the crowd. Murmurs spread. Some alien species hissed. Some laughed. Others clicked their mandibles in warning. For years, humans had risen faster than anyone expected. They spread to new planets, built fleets, and survived places where no one else dared to go. To some, it was impressive. To many, it was terrifying. One alien with scales like polished stone leaned forward. They are reckless. They mine worlds without permission. They fight pirates like it is a game. They are dangerous. Another with tall, thin wings shook its head. But they bring trade. They share technology. They saved colonies from plagues. Without humans, half our roots would collapse. The council chamber filled with noise, anger, fear, and distrust. Every alien voice argued, but one feeling was clear. Humans could no longer be ignored. At the edge of the hall, the human ambassador sat silently. His name was Marcus Hale. His face showed nothing, but his fists were tight against the armrest of his chair. He listened as aliens debated his people's future, and none of them looked at him. The High Speaker raised his staff again, silencing the voices. Enough. Humanity has crossed boundaries again and again. We must act before they grow stronger. A dark pause followed. Then the ruling was spoken. From this day, humanity is forbidden to expand beyond their assigned territories. Their fleets are limited. Their colonies must obey council oversight. Any violation will be treated as an act of war. The words rang across the chamber like a sentence passed by a judge. Some aliens cheered. Others looked uneasy. The human ambassador did not move. His eyes were fixed forward, his jaw hard, his body stiff like stone. An insectoid delegate clicked, its claws. If humans resist, their fleets will be crushed. They are still young. They cannot challenge the council. Another delegate laughed. Yes, they are brave but foolish. They will bow. The laughter spread, cold and sharp. Only one voice did not join. A reptilian elder, older than most, spoke in a low growl. You think them weak because they are silent. But silence is not surrender. Beware the day they answer. The chamber fell still for a moment. Then the high speaker dismissed it as nonsense. The ruling was final. Humanity was to be contained. Marcus Hale finally stood. Every alien eye turned to him. His voice was calm, but beneath the calm, there was steel. You have made your choice, he said. You believe we will bend. You believe we will bow. He paused, letting the silence grow heavy. But you do not understand humanity. You never did. You call us reckless. You call us dangerous. Perhaps you are right. His gaze moved slowly across the council, meeting eyes filled with arrogance and scorn. But mark my words, if you cross this boundary, if you force us to kneel, humanity will not forgive, and humanity will not forget. The words echoed in the chamber. Some aliens scoffed. Others shifted uneasily in their seats. Marcus Hale walked out without waiting for permission, his footsteps loud against the floor. Behind him, the council declared the session closed. The official record would show that humanity was restricted, controlled, and silenced. But outside those walls, across colonies and starships, humans would hear the news, and when they did, something would begin to stir. The aliens thought they had chained a wild animal. They had no idea they had just cornered a storm, and storms never stay quiet for long. The silent rumbling. The news spread like fire across human colonies. On Mars, engineers stopped their work as the broadcast played on every screen. On Titan, miners paused deep inside icy tunnels, their helmets glowing in the dark, listening in silence. On distant frontier worlds, children looked at their parents, with questions they could not answer. The Galactic Council had spoken. Humanity was forbidden to expand, forbidden to grow. Every broadcast repeated the same words: restricted, contained, silenced. At first, there was no reaction, no marches, no protests, no ships sent in defiance. Humans carried on with their daily lives as though nothing had changed. Farmers planted crops, soldiers drilled, traders exchanged goods in busy markets. On the surface, it looked as if humanity had accepted its chains. The council watched closely. Alien delegates smirked, convinced they had broken humanity without firing a shot. They are silent, hissed a scaled creature in one report. Their silence is submission. But silence can be many things. Silence can be calm. Silence can be fear. Silence can also be preparation. In hidden shipyards orbiting dead moons, lights flickered through the night. Workers moved quietly, assembling, something that did not appear on official records. In underground bases on Earth, engineers tested weapons never revealed to the Council. In the deep void, messages flashed across encrypted channels, signals carrying orders only humans could understand. Marcus Hale, the human ambassador, returned to Earth with no speech and no interviews. But when he entered the hidden halls of the Defense Council, his words were brief and sharp. They crossed the line. Begin the preparations. The council chambers of aliens laughed at human silence, while human families whispered in homes about the insult that could not be forgiven. Old veterans told stories of past wars, wars where humanity had been underestimated before. Young soldiers listened, their jaws tight, their eyes burning with something the council did not see. On a frontier outpost, a freighter captain named Elena Torres received a sudden visit from military officials. They came not with threats but with a request. Her ship, fast and lightly armed, was needed for special transport. She asked what kind of transport. The officer simply said, "For the storm to come." Across colonies, shipments began to vanish from public records. Tons of steel, coils of plasma wire, reactors small and large, gone from warehouses, redirected to destinations unknown. Still, the galaxy believed nothing was happening. The aliens saw no protests, no angry speeches, no fleets mobilizing in open space. To them, humans had finally bowed their heads. Yet strange whispers began to spread among traders. Some claimed to see massive objects moving through shadowed regions of space beyond patrol routes. Some said entire human convoys had disappeared into asteroid belts and never returned to normal lanes. An alien patrol commander dismissed it. "They are hiding like frightened children," he sneered. "Let them hide. They can do nothing." But, in private, one alien elder remembered Marcus Hale's words, "If you cross this boundary, humanity will not forgive. Humanity will not forget." The elder shivered, knowing humans too well to believe in silence. Back on Earth, in a command room deep under the surface, holographic maps glowed red with secret markers. Fleet admirals stood around a large table, their eyes fixed on Hale as he spoke. "They believe our silence is weakness," Hale said. "We will let them believe. For now. Let them laugh. Let them call us cowards. When the time comes, they will learn what silence was hiding." No applause followed. Only silence again. But this silence was heavy, like the still air before a storm breaks. The galaxy slept comfortably, thinking humanity was defeated. But beneath that calm surface, the hum of engines whispered in the dark, and the rumble of preparation shook quietly beneath the stars. The storm was not yet here, but it was coming, and when it came, it would be louder than anything the galaxy had ever heard.